right, here we go. You ready to do this?
Let's do it.
All right, we're doing this. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching and listening to Next Gen Dems. I am your host, elected DNC member and candidate for House District 107 in Missouri, running against Nick Schroer. And I am here with Cori Bush, who is running for Congressional District 1 here in Missouri, and you are running against Lacey Clay.
I am.
So before we get into this, I want to throw it out to Lacey Clay's team. If you guys would like to be on the podcast before the primary, come on and get a hold of me and reach out to me and we can make that happen. Before we get into this, I want to make sure that everybody knows where they can find us. They can find us on iTunes. They can find us on podcast.com. Those are both audio. You can also find the video on Facebook and YouTube. So check it out, get involved, subscribe, and check Cori out at...
You can check me out at voteCoriBush.com, on Facebook at Cori Bush, on Twitter at Cori Bush, and also Instagram, Cori Bush for Congress. Just put in Cori Bush. Just Google Cori Bush and you'll find me.
All right. So we're going to get into this thing. Let's start at the beginning. Activism.
Yes.
You are a woman of many talents. I mean, you're a nurse.
Yes.
You're an activist. You're running for office, and one of your most important jobs is being a mother.
Yes.
But let's start with the activism thing. How did you get involved in activism? How did you get involved in the activist community? And where did you kind of start out?
Yeah, so I think it was seed sown because my father, back in the day, he was what would be called an activist. He taught us what, I wasn't trying to learn it at the time, but he would take us to the different marches. My father, he was arrested sitting on the highway with, I think, Al Sharpton one year. And we always went to the, just whatever boycott was going on, he would always take us. And I didn't understand it at the time. And then I went to a high school that taught that.
But don't just say your dad. Give a shout out.
Yes, I'll give a
exactly
shout out. All right,
about.
we're talking about Earl Bush. He's alderman of the city of Northwoods, who's also running for state rep in the 85th district. He is amazing. And so he taught me so much. And then the high school I went to taught us about activism in a kind of a different way. And it taught
What
us
high school did you go to? That's the big question in St. Louis.
Yes.
Anytime you talk to them, what high school did you go to?
I went to Cardinal Ritter College Prep High School. And it was an amazing school that just made sure that it was okay for you to be black. Like, that thing was okay. It was okay for you to be black and great. That's what they taught us. And to excel. So they gave us the tools. And so I believe that all of those things were just seeds being sown. Okay. And so I didn't go the way of politics like my dad. I stayed away from it. At first. Uh-huh. I used two nevers in my life. I would never go into politics, and I would never become a preacher. I became a preacher first. And
now you're running for Congress.
And now I'm running for Congress. So, but yeah, I think it was just those seeds were sown. And then when Michael Brown was murdered, I didn't realize what seeds were there. But I just went out to help. I went out to, help the community.
But then those seeds grew.
They grew. So that's how I ended up here.
So then talk a little bit about that. Talk a little bit about your involvement in the Michael Brown situation and the situation where you were actually attacked.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Let's get into that. Let's talk about that.
Okay. So I remember when Michael Brown was murdered, I just wanted to go to the street to be a part of that, to see justice. I really thought that I could go out there and see justice. But instead, I saw some horrific things, some life-changing things, some traumatic things.
Like what?
So I see how this is going to go. I got to go to the, okay, so now I get it. Now I'm getting this. Okay. So I saw people being beaten with batons, people that didn't do anything but step off of a curb. I saw people being shot with tear gas, where it was like this.
From
with the tear gas, yes, it was directed at people. I saw someone hung upside down and hogtied. I saw someone beaten unconscious.
Hung upside down and hogtied. Paint that picture for us, because I don't know that the media covered that exact shot.
No, it was on YouTube, but I think they took it down. It was taken down. It was just unnecessary. The person was just like speaking back to the police. The police was saying something. She was saying, "No, we don't have to leave." And
So
then
this was a female that they hog
yes,
tied.
it was a very young woman, they just, grabbed her this way, hung her upside down, and so she was bound with her arms and bound at her feet.
Wow.
So she was hung upside down.
Wow, and that's how you treat humans, apparently, in those situations.
Humans. And she was not violent. She didn't put her hands on anyone. And so it was just those things that I saw. And I just wanted to, and I knew I had to keep going back to be out there, not only to, because I thought I was going out there to pray, to just be, to just pray for about what was going on, and to be a medic on the street, that I could offer that. But it turned into me doing other things. Like I started organizing protests and marches, and just and then we became a family, and that's how I ended up staying out there, because I didn't see the justice that I wanted to see. So there was this insatiable desire to see that, and because it didn't happen.
And what you also weren't seeing is a leadership that was speaking to the issues that were causing these situations.
Absolutely.
So you decided to step up and to become that leadership, and that's what this show is about. This show isn't just about young Democrats or even people that are wanting to get involved in politics. It's about the next generation of Democrats that are coming up, that are speaking truth to power, that are willing to stand up to big money interests, and that's exactly what this show is about. I want to thank you for coming on, and we're going to keep rocking and rolling with your story. But before we do, I want to make sure that we plug the people that allowed us to be here. Right now, we are in Cori Bush's office, but we are right next door to Cori Bush's office, where there is a large conference room. And I'd like to thank Radius Realty for allowing us to be here today. And they're at 904 South 4th Street, Suite 201. And if you want to get involved in Cori's campaign, that's at Suite 210 at that same address, 904 South 4th Street. So definitely check them out, Radius Realty. We're kind enough to be here. And Adam Kustra, I do believe, with Mobilize Missouri, this is his office.
Yes.
So thank you, Adam, for having us out here.
Yes, thanks, Adam.
I got to tell you, going back to that situation, when someone brings up your name, now we've been through a lot in this journey in the political world, but when someone brings up your name, one of the first things I think about is someone that was pouring milk of magnesia on someone that just got maced. So tell us about how that led into, I mean, you started becoming a leader on the ground there, and then your first venture into the political realm, into the political arena, wasn't for Congress.
No, it wasn't.
It was for Senate.
It was for Senate,
Tell us about that.
So going back to the first thing that you brought up, I was out protesting. It was the night that we were waiting for the announcement to see if Darren Wilson would be indicted. And I was out working as a medic that night and had my backpack. I wasn't just a protester. I wanted to be able to help, because I figured it would be a lot of people that were here, because people were coming from all over the world to be there for that moment. Tear gas was heavy. Someone called out saying that they thought their mother was having a heart attack. I thought it was an ambush. I thought it was fake. I kept going. They kept yelling. People kept saying, "Cori, you're a nurse. You got to come help." So finally, long story short, I finally came back. I tried to help the person. We knew we couldn't get an ambulance to where the person was. The person was slumped over, tongue hanging out of their mouth, eyes rolling in the back of their head. And so anyway, the only way that we felt we could get through to a paramedic was the paramedics were behind the police line. So we said, hey, if there are a couple news outlets, national media outlets that were live at that time under a tent. We were eight people were holding her body up in the air. I'm yelling, Lisa, stay up. We pulled her body through. We went through the live feed, the live broadcast of both of those two national networks. And we said, well, if they shoot us, people will see it because it's live TV. Yeah. So we did that, and it was just chaotic. But anyway.
But you got the paramedics' attention.
Well, right? They ended up getting. For me though, because what happened was, because I would not let her go, I was trying to get to a paramedic. An officer grabbed me, threw me up in the air, and then I ended up coming back down on my face, and I was stomped. But anyway, I woke up in another place being helped. But that didn't stop me though. it didn't make me get up hating police. It just helped me to see that we have so much more work to do. But then, like you said, the leadership, for me, just being out there and seeing such horrendous things and experiencing such things, you're looking firsthand. So you're looking like, hey, where are our leaders that are supposed to represent us? Especially if you have the title of a representative, where is that? And so me running for Senate, I ran for U.S. Senate because coming off of that, we needed to see that somebody was speaking to those issues, and not just those issues of people that are being oppressed. Like, how are you really addressing those things? And so for me, it was about making sure those things were in the forefront.
Yeah. Awesome. And who are you running against? Fill everybody in. The other senator in Missouri?
Well, you mean for the primary or for the general?
Yeah, the seat you were going for.
Oh, the seat I was going for. That was Roy Blunt's seat.
So you're trying to knock off Roy Blunt right out of the gate. So that's somebody that's jumping in, both feet forward.
Absolutely.
And trying to make an impact right off of the bat.
Yes.
I mean, how many senators are there?
Oh, 100.
In the United States, 100, and you were trying to be one of 100.
Yes.
And now you're trying to be the first.
Yes, I'm trying to be the first. The first woman ever to hold this seat in the history of the district, 171 years, and the first black congresswoman from Missouri.
Awesome. Yeah. And hey, while they're clapping, I want to plug the fact that we are here before a live studio audience. And more people need to come out to things like this and to get involved, figure out how they can get involved in campaigns. Let's go back to your first bid for Senate. Most people don't realize it until we start talking about it, but you announced your first bid for Senate at my Bernie March on Main Street, St. Charles.
Oh, wow.
And we have been on this road fighting this battle ever since, side by side. So from there, I mean, we were kind of campaigned across the state.
Yes.
Some pro wrestling took me to the other side of the state. We spoke at events in Kansas City. We spoke at events over here. So then we've been arm in arm in this thing. So I definitely appreciate you coming on the show, getting your message out. Again, I'm going to reach out to Lacey Clay. Feel free to come on. I'd love to find out where you are with the issues. But before we move forward, I want to find out where you are with the issues. I want to find out, let's talk about your campaign. First off, how is your campaign doing? And then let's find out where your campaign is going to take us and what the future looks like under a Cori Bush congressional run.
So our campaign is going amazing. I could not have imagined what's been happening with the campaign. We started off well. I think we started off well. It was a long ride because we started our draft campaign the 1st of February 2017. So we've been out for a while trying to really get the word out. But so
do you think that it helped with your Senate bid? Obviously, to already have kind of a base and an understanding of what a political campaign entails. The
Senate run definitely helped me to be prepared for this one because I knew, going out and doing it on such a large scale, across the country. Now, being able to pull it into a district, it helped a lot.
And focus it.
And then, so now, just going through so much, in the middle of running for office, we had the Jason Stockley, that verdict came down, and then those protests started, and so, in the middle of campaigning, we started protesting again, and so it changed up the campaign, and it kind of slowed things down a little bit, so we had to get geared up once that was over. It's kind of like a relaunch, but everything was going well, and then I was hit by a car. I was in a car accident. And so that kind of shook things up. It was totally unexpected, of course. And so we had to figure out another way, because I knew I wasn't quitting. There was no way I could quit. Even though sometimes I wanted to, I knew I couldn't.
I think we all have those days, especially when this isn't the life that we may have envisioned for ourselves. And then when we reach certain difficulties and certain mountains that we have to climb, we have doubts.
Yes.
But it's the people who push through those doubts and who say, no, I will not be derailed. I'm going to keep moving forward, even in light of a car accident that has affected you physically. My wife hugged you on the way in, and it kind of threw your back out.
Yeah.
She is strong, but I totally understand that you're in a rough physical condition right now. So that's why you need more boots on the ground. That's why you need more support.
Absolutely. we need the help. But even though I was out, the campaign team came in hard, and they kept the campaign going. Some people didn't even realize that I was down, because the team, they kept seeing purple shirts everywhere. Mm-hmm. We were showing up. We didn't miss endorsement meetings. We were out. Because we're one. They hit everything that they could hit. And so once I started to get back up and started to feel a little better over the last really couple weeks, so now I'm out. But what happened was, I think that we just needed a little bit of a jolt. And then that jolt came when a friend of mine won her race in New York.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Yes.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Yes. And I'll say this.
AOC to those AOC. Internet people.
Yeah. So it was funny when the night of the primary. So I had the television on and I had my phone. So I'm going back and forth. I'm refreshing my phone to try to get the results. I kept, changing channels, trying to see so I could get the results as fast as possible. Yeah. And when I saw that someone called it for her, I just started crying. And I bawled and I cried for hours. But I cried so much. And I'm watching, she started to do her victory
totally
speech.
Happy tears, don't misconstrue.
Totally happy tears, totally happy. And so I'm watching, I'm looking at Rachel Maddow and what she was saying. I'm like, oh my God, they're talking about Alex on Rachel Maddow's show. And then I'm flipping through the other channels, they're talking about her. But then I'm watching the live stream, but I couldn't hear it because I was crying so bad. I didn't know that she said my name.
Really?
And so I just, all of a sudden, I'm looking at my phone and I'm crying and I'm blurred, my vision is blurry. And I'm seeing people start tagging me. And I'm like, what is all of this? She shouted you out live. And so from that moment on, things changed. Our social media blew up. Our fundraising skyrocketed much more than it had been. It's just been amazing, and it gave us that jolt that we needed for this last stretch.
Awesome. And you guys have kind of been on this trip together too.
Yeah.
Ever since you started running for Congress, she started running for Congress. You
Yes.
guys were both endorsed by Brand New Congress. You were the first endorsement of Brand New
Yes.
Congress.
Yes.
I remember being at that meeting at your other office.
Oh yeah, right.
And I was kind of your hype man.
Yes, you were.
That's kind of what I do with those things. It's kind of what I do. I get the crowd fired up.
Yes.
She was the third.
She was the third.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you were the first Brand New Congress. She was the third. You just got the Our Revolution endorsement.
I did.
Yeah.
Yes.
So now we are both national. Both of us are nationally. Yeah, that's awesome. National Our Revolution, 2 National Our Revolution endorsed candidates, 1 podcast. That's pretty cool.
Yes.
And the only other 2 that I know of in the state right now are Winston Apple, who's also an elected DNC member with me, and I believe Adrian Plank are the only other 2 currently. Wow. But then we look at that. You just got the endorsement of Our Revolution. Alexandria endorsed you as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. And that the picture that comes to mind with that is when you guys first went out. Was it to Washington D.C.? Yeah. For the Brand New Congress thing, there is a great picture of you and Alexandria and the group of Brand New Congress, and that comes to mind. And it's like that is next gen Dems. That is the next generation of Democrats that are coming in that aren't just politicians, but they're public servants, and they aren't just there for the big interest. They're there for the interest of the people, and that is something that is extremely powerful.
Yes.
It's something that people need to see and understand, and I think that you are running a very similar ground game to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. So tell us a little bit about that, and a little bit about maybe what Brand New Congress did for you guys as far as the education or training of how to do this.
So Brand New Congress in the beginning, so she and I met April of 2017 at a Brand New Congress summit where they just wanted to bring together some of the candidates that they were already looking to endorse or had endorsed. And we were in Kentucky, and it was just the first time I heard her speak. I was like, wow, she's fierce. She would make a great congresswoman. Or great whatever she does. And so anyway, but with that summit, their focus was, let's pull you together, let's see how this works, but let's also start some training. So we were sitting in hours of policy training. We even did the mock interviews. We did like Fox Fox News and CNN and all of those, and then independent news, just mock interviews, round and round and round. We did that for
how to
hours.
handle those situations, how to present yourself, the messaging.
Right.
It's very similar to. Did you do the Progressive Change Campaign Committee training?
I don't think. Yes, we did. Yes, we did. PCC. Yes, we did.
Yeah, it's very similar to that. We did a 3-day out there a couple of months ago, and that's exactly what it was. All 3 days, they had it laid out. Some of the greatest minds in this industry, in this field. And then we had some great speakers, Bernie Sanders.
Yeah. That's wonderful.
Elizabeth Warren. Who else was there? Cynthia Nixon was there. And that's another person who, like you felt with Alexandria, I kind of felt with her because she was on Sex and the City. I really knew nothing about her before she hit the stage. And after she hit the stage, I was like, that is my kind of candidate, So, I mean, check out Cynthia Nixon. I got no dog in the hunt in New York, but check out Cynthia Nixon right now because she needs as much help as she can get from the grassroots. She's as long as she votes the way that she's speaking, then she is going to be a powerful person in New York. She's going to be a powerful entity in this progressive movement and in the political revolution, which is what's happening right now.
Yes.
A lot of people thought that was kind of pie in the sky, but that's exactly what's happening right now. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about what you're seeing in the political revolution and maybe some people who are touching you and kind of you're feeling like they're making all the right moves and saying all the right things. And
yeah.
So who are some people who are inspiring you maybe in this movement?
Wow, in this movement. You're going to have me saying names and then somebody's going to say, you didn't say me. I just think that there are so, right. I have to say that there.
I don't ask for plugs. I take them.
Right. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, even that, and then and all the titles that you hold. My goodness, you probably hold more titles than anybody in the state.
Well, they said political revolution.
Right.
I was like, what seats can we take?
Right. Which was a great thing because that's part of the issue when we don't know that how important those seats are, and we allow other people to fill them that don't have our interests. That's how we end up in the position we're in now.
Yeah, most people are so concentrated on the top-down aspect of this whole thing when they don't realize that the real change happens from the bottom up, from like the county committees and things like that. That's where a lot of decisions are made. That's where a lot of boots on the ground are as far as what happens on the foundation of this movement and of this whole political game, so to speak. Some people that are really popping out to me is Beto, how do you pronounce it? O'Rourke, running in Texas against not Paul Ryan, but the other one I absolutely despise, Ted Cruz. So check out Beto. I like exactly what he's doing. He's getting out there, taking it to the people. He's live streaming a lot. Really enjoy what he's doing. Yeah. And then I look at Iron Stash.
I
look at Iron Stash up there running against Paul Ryan. Yeah, Paul Ryan absolutely needs to go work the steel, and Iron Stash needs to go to Congress.
Well, I'm definitely hoping to be able to help out once I win. Other candidates the same way that Alex, how she was so selfless, and she, in her moment, I'll never forget that. In her moment, where her mind could have been like all of this and just like totally just outdone and overwhelmed, she remembered other people, and so I want to be able to do the same thing. So there are some people like coming up in Florida. We have Charter Richardson, we have Michael Hepburn, and just people, and then some of our folks that have already won their primaries that are in red districts. We have Adrian Bell and Lizzie Fagan. They're out of Texas. People like that we just need to make sure that we're lifting their names. Vanessa Adia, and I'm, those are all brand new Congress and Justice Democrat candidates, but we're all one team. But just making sure that we push it forward because we've seen what can happen when we do that.
Absolutely, and I think that the important part is that we make no bones about the fact that we do have an agenda. we have an agenda for healthcare for all and
Heck
education
yeah.
for as many people as possible. And, from tuition-free
Yes,
colleges.
yes,
I mean,
yes.
that we do have an agenda, and
Yes,
we're
we
out
do.
here saying it. And I think that that's where maybe the Democratic Party got off the rails, is that most people, especially in 2016, the doors that I went to, they would say, I don't know what the Democratic Party stands for. I don't hear them out here telling me what they stand for.
Yes, I've heard that.
And that's why this podcast came together. That's why I speak at as many events as I can. You speak at as many events as you can, because this message has to get to the public. It has to get out to the public because we don't have the big money that maybe our opponents do. So we have to take every opportunity to spread this message. And if you're watching at home, please share. Patricia Tracy is over here, I believe, live streaming. That's awesome. That's awesome. Please share Patricia's live stream. And I think Chrissy's got it set up over there too. So we're live streaming on a number of different avenues right now. Let's talk about the comparisons between your race and
Yes.
Alexandria's race.
Yes.
And let's talk first about what she did and then about what you're against. So what she did in New York was she unseated a 10-term Democratic congressman who was the runner-up for the Speaker of the House, minority Speaker of the House, to take Nancy Pelosi's job. And a year ago, she was a bartender. I mean, this is huge. This is huge. And how she did it was that grassroots, progressive style of running for office. Getting out there and talking to as many voters as you can, outworking the competition because you can't outspend them. Tell us a little bit about your competition and tell us about the battle that you were up against.
So it's a similar thing. If he was to be elected on August 7th, he would go into his 10th term. But for us, it's the same. We're doing the same thing. It's totally grassroots. It's on the ground. This is what is known to be how people run for office. And then this is what we're doing. So outside of the canvassing, phone banking thing, for the most part, we're adjusting everything to what we can, it's about what we can do, how we can do it, with what money we have. We're coming up with creative ways to reach the community. And it's just about being out there, knocking doors, meeting people, shaking hands, being present. But this is the thing. We didn't just start when we decided to run for office. So I think that makes a difference too. Being out there and being present, being an activist in the community, getting to know the people, where the people get to know you beforehand, starting off with some type of a base of people that at least know that you love the community. I think that helps. So when we're knocking doors, it's not like, well, where did you come from? Like, who are you? I think with Alex, because she made sure that she was always present, people knew, even though they might not have known a lot about her, but they knew, they kept seeing her.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the same thing that we have. People, we are going to make people want to throw up seeing these purple shirts. They're going to see our purple shirts, see our purple signs, it's like, oh my God, when is this over with? Just put this girl in office,
Well, since you brought that up, I would like to present you with a Curtis Wylde shirt.
Nice, thank you. I'm wild. Thank you.
Absolutely.
How cool.
But talk about some of the interesting ways that you're campaigning, some of the fun stuff that you're doing, because in my estimation, and I even had this conversation last night with people who had been very unhappy with the Democratic Party and decided to come out to my event yesterday that had not just myself, but I had 4 or 5 other candidates running for office, and I also had the president of UAW 2250, Glenn Kage Jr., come to it, and some of the people that came were just in awe of the fact that we were doing that, especially in my district. And they, not only were they pleased to see people running for office and people getting out there and being willing to be public and being willing to invite an audience free of charge, come on out, have a good time with us. But they mentioned that we have to do things, and the message that I heard, rather, I don't want to quote them, but we have to make democracy fun again.
Yeah.
That was what it boiled down to. We have to make democracy fun again, because
Yeah.
if it's not fun, people are not going to get involved. And
Yes.
if people don't get involved, then we're not going to be able to win on the important issues
Yes.
that are facing our country.
Yes.
So what are some of the fun ways that you're getting people involved?
It started off, last year we started something called Woke and Fit. Hopefully we'll get back to it as soon as we win this primary. But so Woke and Fit, because I'm a nurse, that was just a way for us to touch the community in a different way. So it's fun. We're getting the exercise, and we're getting information to people on the ground in their community. So that's what we did. We would go to the community, to a neighborhood park, a lot. And we brought out certified trainers. We had dietitians doing food demos. We had what was the company? Supplement Superstores was there doing demos and giving out samples, setting up meal plans for people, and we did like a boot camp thing. I mean, they had obstacle courses and stuff.
Cool.
We had the music, and so and it was free and all open. It was open, and so and I was looking ridiculous out there, but that was the point, to get out there and to be with the community. People could come up. We were doing blood pressures and all kinds of stuff, giving out healthy snacks,
awesome.
and so that was just something different. And the point and the
Involvement.
idea, yes. And so the idea was to move it around the entire district. So we'll get back to that after we win. And then one other thing that we did. So we decided to do themed house parties, because people, house parties can go either way. So we decided that if you want to do a theme, we gave out themes. And so, like, one fun thing that was coming up before I had my accident.
I keep getting distracted because I'm trying to ask for water so hard.
Oh, here.
I'm doing everything I can do to make some eye contact.
Here,
No, that's yours.
No,
I want.
Oh, I have something. Yeah, I'm good. I have my bubble tea.
Continue.
So, we had the house party that we had coming up before my accident that we had to cancel. It was the 80s prom. So we've done some different things. We wanted to do had the luau and a St. Louis theme and just some other. Anyway, just some stuff to get people that may not normally come out to a political function to come out.
Yeah.
And so that's so just thinking of the different ways, and then also not all of it's been fun. Like we started a women's series, and then that was also pushed to the side because of my accident, which hopefully we'll get back to it. But like we did one on sexual assault, just bringing awareness to what's happening with victims and survivors, and then not only that, their support systems, what their support goes through. I remember at that particular event, it wasn't necessarily about me speaking. The person that was my support through my assault, he did a lot of the speaking. That was Chris Phillips. He did a lot of the speaking for that, and so it was giving that other perspective.
Awesome. Who happens to be here today? We'll shout out to Chris Phillips. He actually does. Most people don't know the people behind the camera.
Yeah.
But Chris is out there at pretty much every protest that you go to. Every protest that I've been to, probably in the last 3 years, Chris is there, camera in hand. He's out there like a soldier. Real quick, Chris, do you have a business that you'd like me to plug real quick?
My company is Maverick Media Group.
Maverick Media Group. You guys Google him, check him out, and use him in every opportunity you possibly can for all your media needs. Absolutely.
Yes.
And before we get back into it, I want to make sure that we plug Radius Realty and Adam Kustra. They're right here at 904 South 4th Street, Suite 201, just adjacent to Cori's office, which is Suite 210. Suite 210.
Yes.
So moving forward, you're feeling a little better. You're starting to get back into campaign mode. We got the primary right around the corner. What are some things that could really benefit and help you out that you'd like to reach out and ask people more about?
We are asking for people to help us in a few ways. Canvassing, we need people on the doors. We need to knock the doors down. We need to knock down the house across this district. So if you have some time, you don't even have to canvass with us. You don't have to come out to a structure canvass. We can use the minivan. We can get you all set up, and you can go when you have time. You can take a team with you if you want. We'll give you all that you need. We'll give you T-shirts. We'll give you lit. We'll give you whatever you need, water. And then you can go out and do that on your own time. Also, phone banking, we have that through the van as well. You can phone bank on your own time, or you can come into the office. We do it in the evenings here from 6 to 9. So you can come in and do that. Also, postcard parties. We're doing postcarding. So if you want to come in, you can check our social media. We have actual events where we're doing postcards. Some of them have been with wine and cheese. So you can come out to those, or you can just
have a little cheese.
You gotta have a little cheese with the wine, So, and with those, and even if you say, well, I can't stay for the party, you can still come and pick up some postcards, and we can get you set up with that. We would love to see your designs. And donations. We can absolutely use donations. This is a grassroots campaign that does not take corporate PAC money at all. And let me make sure it's clear. It's not that we were never offered, because money was offered. We didn't accept it because we are about making sure that the people have a voice, and that the people's voice is loud, and that no corporation is able to be louder than somebody that donated $3.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the firm beliefs in most progressives is that corporations are not people, and money is not free speech. And we have to think that way in order to put Main Street before Wall Street, in order to put people before profit. Right. I'm starting to sound like a commercial, but that's how it turns into, man. I mean, you got to hit these things quick at the doors. You got to be concise about what you mean, say what you mean, and mean what you say.
Yes.
And one of the important things I think that people are seeing about yourself, about my campaign, and a lot of other people who are getting out here and involved, is that we're walking the walk.
Yes.
We're walking the walk. We're not just talking the talk. We're not just talking about it, saying it. We're walking the walk. We're out there with the people, and we're fighting for the things that need to be fought for. Mm-hmm. And we're fighting alongside the people who aren't able to fight for themselves in a lot of situations. So we really need to mobilize people and get the voter turnout up.
Yes.
We need to make sure that they if they want their voice to be heard, that they make it count at the polls.
Yes.
And
poll workers.
Poll workers.
Poll workers.
Absolutely.
Lots of poll workers. Poll workers.
And that is such an easy job.
Being
a poll worker, you bring your fishing chair. I don't like a whole lot of sun if I'm gonna be sitting still, so I'll bring a little umbrella.
Yeah.
Put it right next to me. I'm sitting in the shade. I got my signage next to me. And from time I'll get up and I'll start handing people out stuff as long as I'm far enough away from the door.
Right.
That it is not illegal.
Yes.
And,
yes. And people can join in with us. We actually have some great events coming up this weekend. On Saturday, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez will be in St. Louis. She will be here stomping for the campaign. And we have 2 events. Woo! Right. We have 2 events. One in the morning from 9 to 11. That will be at Squires Restaurant. We love Squires. Shout out to Squires. So it will be there. You can come out, but that's definitely a fundraiser. So we're asking people when they come to bring some money to donate, because we have less than 3 weeks to make this thing happen. Yeah. And then the evening event.
Chrissy looked at it. Now, how's that work? Because Chrissy was going to RSVP. I think that you mentioned it was fairly expensive.
Oh no, that was
price range.
Yeah, no, that was a mistake. That's been corrected. It's not. No, you can come. Anyone can RSVP.
So anyone can RSVP. Bring some money. It is a fundraiser. Mm-hmm. Bring what you got. That's the progressive way.
Yep.
I mean, $27 is my favorite number.
Right.
I don't know about you. I know my average is about $24. So I'm right on par with that small money donation. Where are you averaging, do you think? Somewhere around there. We have very similar supporters.
Yes, we have similar supporters. In
a lot of ways, the same supporters.
Mine is probably about the 27. I think, but because I put it out a lot, that we put it out a lot about initially about $3 donations. Mm-hmm. So we would get a lot of. We have some people that
my treasurer hates me because I'm part of. I got the Run for Something endorsement, and so they started up a thing in 10 of the states that they have endorsed candidates called the Fund for Something. And so sometimes those campaigns come in and they split it between a lot of their endorsed campaigns. So sometimes it's like $1.30.
That's what
And my treasurer is a soldier, man. He will list all of those dollar and I don't even know that you have to if it's under like $25.
Right, but it's we list them.
He is a soldier. He lists every dime. I mean, it's all accounted for. Shout out to Brian Steens while we're here.
Oh, Brian.
Yeah, he's awesome. And he comes down here and he's retired, so he's got a little bit more time than I may have, but he comes down here and supports things that I really wish I could be at. And I'm glad that he's here, maybe not necessarily on my behalf, but I'll say that he's here on my behalf. Because he's down here. I mean, Kevin Fitzgerald is one of his best friends, and they're at a lot of things together because it's all about fighting for the cause. Those are a couple of union guys that will show up to any woman's march or show up to any Black Lives Matter movement.
They will.
They understand the intersectionality that comes with these separate movements and how we all need to work together.
Right.
And we need more people like that. We need more people.
Yes, we do. We do.
You know, and those are two cats that are woke.
Yes.
And all you got to do is talk to them or see their actions to see that they're doing the work and they're no joke. And we have many more people like that. A few of them are in this very room today. So
and Byron over there.
Absolutely, and we got to shout out to those people. We got to make sure that we know that we want to elevate them and empower them to do the very best that they can do to empower this campaign and empower the message and the issues that we're fighting for. So let's boil it down. If you could name one issue, one big issue, what's your top issue?
It's going to be education. And even though I'm a nurse, and so people like throw the healthcare thing at me, but I believe that we can help fix some of that when we fix education, because we can't just look at what's happening right now and what our circumstances are, because it should be about our legacy, what's coming after us, our children's children is what we're supposed to be preparing for, you know.
And investing in.
We have to, because this is the thing, we're walking out what someone else did. Like, we're not walking out what we did. We're walking out what someone else did before us. And so for me, it would be education, because I'm definitely all about dismantling the school to prison pipeline. When I look at education, I believe that if we make sure that every single zip code has a quality education, if we make sure that there is quality, affordable education from cradle to career, if we make sure we're taking care of our preschoolers, you know, we can't forget about the 3-year-olds, because they can be learning as well. I started out as an early childhood teacher. You know, I taught 3-year-olds, I taught 4-year-olds, and I also taught pre-K for a while.
And they're sponges. Those are some of the best students you'll get.
Absolutely. Yeah. You know, I remember teaching Spanish. You know, and we were trying to teach them how to write in cursive, and cursive at the time. We were teaching them how to write in cursive and all of those things. And
they don't even have that anymore, do they?
No, they don't. They're bringing it back. They're bringing it back. They're bringing it back.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, they're bringing it back. I heard. But just like that, you know, if you give it to them, they can eat it. You know, you put it before them. And anyway, so how do we have a thriving, booming St. Louis if we're not investing in what's coming up? That's gonna be the ones that run St. Louis. So I believe, and the thing is this. We can't say that we want to make sure that the people in these zip codes have something great, and the people in these zip codes that they survive, and then expect to have greatness. We can't, you know. And so let's have them grow up together, receiving the exact same thing, because that's when we slam. So that, and then and it goes a little further in.
But wait, you say that to a Republican, they're gonna say, "Well, that just sounds socialist."
Yeah, it doesn't matter to me. I don't. The funny thing is that they can put a title. They can put a title on taking care of people. You can put it, because this is something that I see.
Isn't that crazy?
It is crazy, because as a nurse, when you walk into, I remember when I was in the working at the hospital. When you walk into the hospital and I'm taking care of you, it doesn't matter to me what your insurance is. It doesn't matter to me how much money you have, because actually in this moment you don't even care. In this moment you just want me to take your pain away. In this moment you want to make sure that your procedure is done right, so you don't end up with an infection. All of those things. That's what you care about. That is the point. In that moment when your body is afflicted, we are all one. So in the same way, it shouldn't be that I get this title because I care about making sure that there is equity in our land. Our children deserve food. You know, they can't go to school and learn and be effective if we don't make sure that they're fed. You know, so it's up to us to do that. So I think making sure that our children eat, making sure there's quality education, making sure that there are resources.
I don't think people
resources.
really wrap their head around the fact that it's really difficult for a kid to learn biologically if they don't have food in their stomach.
I'm telling you.
If you don't feed the body, it's really hard to feed the mind. And I don't think they understand how that little thing that they think it's little, well, let's cut, breakfast for latchkey kids.
Right.
They don't understand how much that affects those children and their ability to learn that day.
Exactly.
And it's a necessity for some families. So we need our people that can help make those decisions and can help drive that narrative and get people to act upon those things.
Yes.
In a position of power to be able to act upon those things.
Exactly.
So,
yes.
But let's talk more about it. Education for me is a huge thing because if we have an educated society, we're going to have universal health care. Mm-hmm. We're going to have tuition-free education.
Yes.
We're going to have social justice, criminal justice reform, racial justice. We're going to have people with the understanding that we need to have science-based education and not faith-based education. And there's a very important reason for that, and it's because we live in a real world that's based on science, that's based on provable facts. And we have to understand that that's where we're at, that's where we come from. Maybe 2,000 years ago, that didn't work out because they needed something to explain things. Now we have systems to explain things. Now we have science to explain things. Mm-hmm. In science, everybody says, well, that's not fact. And they're kind of right. Because the facts that we know now are only the facts until we discover that those are changing. All facts are always evolving and changing with new information that's added. And so we're always going to be adding to that. And there's always going to be peer review on those things. So what's some other issues that are really important to you that you want to make sure people know about and where you stand on it?
So I'll bring up one that is on the ballot. Proposition A. We got to stand up for no one right to work. We have to make sure that we're taking care of our families.
Why would you tell someone to vote no on Prop A, which everybody should, but why would Cori Bush tell them that?
Because it directly affects our community. We have the unions. No matter I've heard a lot of people say, well, why do we support the unions? Because of the history and all of that, especially coming from a black woman. But what I know about the unions, my father was a union member for 20 years. He was in the meat cutters union, and I saw what it did for our family. I saw that he was able to provide, as a young man for a family of 5. And then just the protections that he had. When I would go to my father's job, I saw how he had those protections and that stuff was in place even back then. But even now, I think about how unions 100% close the racial and gender pay gaps. Well, outside of the union, we don't have that. And I've said it on several different places that I know for a fact that I make $24,900 less a year, simply because I'm a black woman, versus my white male counterparts.
But if you were in a union, that's not the case.
It would not be the case.
Yeah.
And so we need, the unions need numbers, and this is the thing. I don't feel that it's right that the money may not be there for somebody to be able to advocate for people to have the things that they need, those workers' protections, those worker rights, the money that they should be getting paid. We don't have enough people to advocate simply because the money isn't there to pay the people to advocate, because some people decided, I'm not going to take my money and put it into the union, but the people that did pay it, now I get to benefit from all that they gave.
Yeah.
I just feel
they don't really comprehend that.
Yeah.
I don't think that even the commercials that I've seen are doing a really good job of helping people understand that what Prop A is allowing you to get the benefits of a membership without paying the membership dues. It's really that simple. You can't watch Netflix. You can't go to a gym. You can't do anything that has a benefit to you if you don't pay that due, if you don't pay that price, if you don't pay that monthly
Yes.
membership price. You don't get to watch your Netflix
Yep.
or your Hulu's or any of that because people pay into that system. I actually want to do a commercial. I'm trying to work it out with UAW where a hiring manager is sitting at a desk and a person comes walking in. They're about to interview for a job, and the hiring manager stands up and he says, "You're here for our at-will employment position." And the guy's like, yeah. And he has a seat, he sits down, and then the interviewee starts going, well, I'm going to need this much an hour, and I'm going to need this benefit, and I'm going to need my weekends off, and I'm going to need this, and I'm going to need this, and I'm going to need this. And the guy's like, well, no, that's for our paid membership. That's for our membership employees. And then two strong men, we can label them big and government, come in and stand next to him, and they're like, no, he's going to get all of your benefits, all of the things that you have collectively bargained for all these years, and he's not going to pay your dues. That's what right to work is. That's what Prop A is trying to get done. So it benefits the employers, it benefits the big money interest, and not the employees or not the people who are working for that money and breaking their back every day to make this happen. And the other thing that people don't realize about unions is that they are counterbalanced to our slave prison system, our slave wages prison system. Because there's people out there working for a quarter a day. I mean, what does someone out here know the wage of someone in prison
It's
having
like
to work?
40 cents.
It's like
40
40
cents.
cents.
It's 40 cents.
Like $1 a day or something.
Yeah.
$1 a day.
Yes,
That
40
is
cents an hour.
slave wages. They are working for slave wages, and in order to have that counterbalance, we have to have unions.
Yeah.
We have to have unions making good pay in order to balance off those slave wages that they're keeping people in. And there's probably more people in the middle area where they're making just enough money to get by with maybe a second job or a third job. But people don't understand that if if unions aren't there to keep wages high and to keep benefits high and worker protections high, then all that stuff's going to fall off. Because then who is there to protect you? You don't have a collective situation to bargain because you're all going to be at-will employees from that point on. So people need to understand, and I think we need to get better, especially before the primary, which is less than 3 weeks away, somewhere
Yes,
around 3 weeks
less than
away.
3 weeks.
People need to understand that this is going to affect them, even if they're not in a union.
Yeah.
If they're not in a union,
right.
their wages will go down.
Their wages will go down.
Absolutely. They will not have the benefits and the protection. And OSHA's not going to go away, but you are not going to have the protection of being able to keep your job, maintain your job. You might not even have the ability to earn vacation pay or off time, sick days, because they could just say, well, you're sick today, you're done. I'll find somebody else to fill your position. We have a question?
Just out of curiosity, either one of you, how do you think we can boost membership numbers, not only in the unions, to help support and fight the onslaught of right to work? Because we know this probably isn't the end if the Republicans stay the majority. How do we bridge the gap between union jobs and union wages and low-income neighborhoods, low-income families who need those jobs?
Okay. The question is, how do we bridge the gap between union families and the lower income who need to get involved in a union, or maybe, I guess my quick answer would be start their own union. And that's happening in a lot of places, but it's made more difficult by the overlords and the employers. So, Cori, where would you go with that?
I think one place is what I've heard a lot of is people that those particular trainings that's needed though to even get those jobs is missing in certain areas. So I think that making sure that that there's access to those trainings for those particular certifications to be able to get some of those jobs because some of them are very specific. So I think if we make sure that access is there, it's all about access. If we make sure that access to those trainings are brought where people are, I think that will help make a difference too. Because if I don't know something is out there, oftentimes if you're in your our milieu, I think makes a difference. If we don't step outside of that, but if I don't know that anything outside of that is good for me, if I don't even know what to expect, then I won't sometimes go seek it out. But I think that if
you don't know,
we bring
it's hard to find it.
Right. If you don't know, you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
So, but if we bring it to where people are, like in those areas that Chrissy's talking about, I think that also helps too. I think that will cut a lot of it.
I think that really falls back to your number one topic, which was education. Because, and I will say, to speak to the quality of the unions, but also to speak to the difficulty of someone who's trying to take that step into join a union and to maybe reach that next level, get a new certification that's going to change their life, that's going to improve their situation, the situation of their family. I look to the Carpenters. Wasn't it the Carpenters, Chrissy? We went down to Las Vegas. We were able to, as a DNC member, they had a tour of their training facility, and I mean, it's top notch. It's top notch. It's magnificent. They're training people to do all kinds of different work in all kinds of different fields. They even have like a tank where people can go in it and they can learn how to weld underwater.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, the training is top notch, but now on the other side of that coin, people have to get there. They have to get there and they have to get that training. They have to be able to afford to take
yes.
And their union may take care of it, but the thing is that's all the way in Las Vegas. So that comes back to your education thing. If we had more localized education for the things necessary, then I think that it would improve more people's lives. And I think not just necessarily for the skilled trades, but for so many different things like solar panels, wind turbines. We should be teaching how those things work and how to build them to be able to live in a sustainable society. So right now, I think that education is kind of at a point where maybe we are with the gas, where some of the people in power have come to the decision that we have gotten as far as we can go, that we have come as far as we can go with what we have, and so they're making the decision to not only not move towards sustainable environments, but do what they have to do to keep us on oil and to keep us on coal and to keep us on things like that when it is not something that is going to benefit us in the future. We talked about investing in the future, and we talked about investing in the next generations.
Yes.
So that falls back to the education thing.
Yes.
We have to get a healthy, educated society because that's a powerful thing. How do we get there?
I think just what we started with, but it's going to come from people in Congress that are brave enough and bold enough, people that are on the state level that are brave enough and bold enough to start to demand those dollars, to start to demand that those dollars that were removed, especially on the federal level from the education system, and where the increase in money went to private prisons, pull that money back. Now, I won't say some of it. Let's go take that money back and put it back into our education system. We can't. Why are we trying to incarcerate the country? We spend more money incarcerating the country than we do educating the country.
Yeah, and most people don't even realize that.
Yeah.
Since you are running for Congress, and this isn't just about Missouri, let's talk about where you stand on some foreign policy issues.
Cori, what time is your next interview?
It was at 2, so I know I need to.
All right.
Yeah. I wasn't sure how long we were going.
We were running late, and that's what happens when you're running for Congress. You have a schedule that you have to abide by, and we are going to have to cut this one short. This is an hour. We usually do about 90 minutes.
Okay.
So and we will do probably another one of these at some point, or after the primary.
Sure.
After the primary,
Okay.
things go well. Even if things don't, you are always welcome on the show. We're right here at Cori Bush's office, actually the conference room just beside Cori Bush's office at Radius Realty. I want to plug them, 904 South 4th Street, suite number 201, and you can give them a call at 314-755-5779 for any of your realty needs. Cori Bush, let's talk about where they can reach out to you, how they can find you, how they can get involved.
All right, so you can meet us on our website, voteCoriBush.com. That's VOTECORIBUSH.com. Like I said, you can Google me, just Google Cori Bush, and the rest of the stuff comes up. And you can meet us Saturday. I wanted to also make sure we talked about that event. Saturday evening, 7 p.m. at the Ready Room. Love the Ready Room in the Grove in St. Louis. We will be there with Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez. Bruce Franks is speaking. We have quite a few people speaking that night, but those are the headline speakers. And there will be entertainment. There will be local business owners there with their products. There will be organizations and groups there. It's a big birthday rally, big birthday and GOTV rally in my honor. So please come out. It's free and open to the public. Let's just have a good time and get ready for what's coming next. Get ready for these last couple weeks.
Outstanding.
Yes.
I think that we're going to try to make the breakfast that morning because that night, fortunately or unfortunately, I am professionally wrestling right across the river. I'll be at SICW this Saturday in a elimination explosion match for the SICW Classic Championship. Myself and 4 other men are going to be doing that. So we may be able to make breakfast. We're definitely going to try to do that.
Okay.
And you can always check us out on Next Gen Dems. You can check us out on podcast.com, iTunes. You can subscribe to us there. The video will be available on Facebook and YouTube when it is ready, put together. And my name is Curtis Wylde. I have been your host. Thank you for watching Next Gen Dems with my guest, Cori Bush.
Yeah.
Thanks, Cori.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks for coming.
All right.
Thanks for coming.